Our podcast series, Welcome to the Future, starts now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? We're back with another episode of Welcome to the Future. And on this episode, we have some special FOHSE family here. We have none other than Claybourne Co. And I want to read you a quick little excerpt about their bio so you can get to know who they are before we actually get to know who they are. So it says, since 2017, Claybourne has been a leading California cannabis brand with full control and optimization through the entire process. Currently, Claybourne is the third largest flower brand in California. Claybourne prides itself on maximizing the potential of each harvest while maintaining quality and consistency. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Nick Ortega and Brent Barnes to the podcast with us. Let's clap it up for them like we always do.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
Good crop up. Good little clap. Also, we have my buddy, my guy here, Mr. Ben Arnett, sitting in with us. You know, he had to bring the good vibes today. But just before we get into it, guys, their brand doesn't just stop at cannabis. It actually extends into dirt bike riding and rodeo through sponsorships. Some of their athletes include Kobe Raha, Eli, just make sure I pronounce this right, Eli Nekochia, Mr. Nick Maximov, Chris Gill, and many, many more. The one funny thing about their stories is very reminiscent of FOHSE. You have friends that came together, started a brand, killed it, and now they're in the future really, really leading the industry. And for those that didn't get into the podcast, if you get into episode 1 where it all began, Brett and Ben sit down and we talk about it. So this is very reminiscent of that first episode. So it's glad to have you guys. It's good to have you guys.
Thank you.
But yeah, let's get into it. Ben, what's your association with Claybourne?
Yeah, so I think honestly it was a couple of years ago. It was either me or Ron had like found you guys on Instagram, and then finally was like, "Hey, you guys should check out our lights," and literally set up a test. And first test went well, and then second test went well, and then it turned into a room, multiple rooms.
Yep.
Full facilities, and I was like, "How big is Claybourne?" He was like, "Yeah, Ron." I was like, "Run with it, man." And all of a sudden, next thing I was like, "How many lights Claybourne, Brian?" I'm like, I thought they just had one grow. He's like, no, they got like all these grows. I was like, phenomenal. So then we started seeing the photos coming from it and the data coming from it, which is also unique. Claybourne actually collects a ton of data, which obviously we are big fans of over here. But I started seeing some of the photos of the product they were growing, and obviously been in 1,000 grow rooms, and you see stuff like that, you're like, okay, so they're knocking it out of the park. And this is actually the first time we've actually got to see some of it, and it does not disappoint. It's like, it looks and smells better than the photos, for sure. I'm like, it doesn't even do it justice. So
if you've seen our Instagram, definitely scroll through. And just so I can get your Instagram handle, what's the proper name? It's at
Claybourne_Co.
At Claybourne_Co. If you're watching this episode, go to their Instagram right now and check out some of the photos. If you're on ours, scroll down. You'll be able to tell their photos out of the bunch. But they definitely do some great stuff. So that's great to know. How did you guys come about knowing FOHSE? Was it kind of like the same way?
It was me. It was one day Ron he literally just randomly got a hold of me, and I was trialing LEDs.
That's the FOHSE way. We find a way. You're never getting away from us.
I was trialing LEDs, and he hit me up, and you hit me up at the same time, and it's like we started just chatting back and forth, and it was in the very beginning of LEDs. It's like everyone was just doing standard boards. It was just crappy LEDs that were coming from China, and I started looking into FOHSE, and I started looking into lighting because of the fisheye lenses, the lenses themselves, and just looking at that and saying, hey, how is this going to change the way it affects the plant? And we started doing trials almost instantaneously too. It's like other LED companies at the time were like, yeah, fuck off kind of thing. It's like, I don't want to do trials with you guys, or I didn't want to do trials at all. You guys came to me and was like, hey, let's do some trials and get rolling. And luckily I did, because the lighting difference was huge. I did trials with probably 8 different companies under LEDs, and FOHSE lights were by far the best every single time.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, exactly. So
we like that.
But it's just true. The penetration in the canopy, it really does matter. And it's like the high intensity lighting. And this was before Nick. At that time, it's like we were talking about high intensity lighting, like 1,000-watt LEDs. Everybody else in the industry was growing under 670, 640 watts. And I was telling him, I was like, hey, we bred chihuahuas from wolves essentially with cannabis plants. We can change that again by putting them under high intensity lighting. We had a lot of conversations about it because it was new. It's like nobody was talking about it. And lo and behold, after purchasing the lights, you see it. You see it for yourself. Increased yields, faster growth, better quality flower. You see all that stuff very quickly.
So. Yeah. I mean, for years you saw everyone for the past, like a couple years ago, 660 watt. No one wanted to do any more thermal management on any fixtures because it had to mean a redesign. So instead, everyone's marketing switched to, you don't need that much light to grow the plant. You don't even need it. And then our whole ideology was, well, we've hooked these things up to Lightcore 6800 machines, and it says it can take well over 2,000. So we're going to go with the high intensity approach. And like you said, the fisheye lenses, obviously the number of diodes, wattages makes a huge difference, but when you're actually directing light onto the canopy and through the canopy, that's where people are seeing, like you said, the greatest increase in yields. It's not the, I mean, yes, the bud size will get bigger on some strains, but some strains, it looks just almost like the same as the next room, but you're not harvesting a foot of plant, you're harvesting like 2 feet of plant.
The lowers become so useful in the crop.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
like everything about it is better. It really did. It changed a lot at that time because it was the first company that I'd ever seen that had that technology. It was the first company, and harvesting it, like growing under HPS at 600, 700, 800 micromoles of light to something you're running at 60% that's at 1100 micromoles.
Like, how is this possible again? How?
And I'm not gonna lie, Brent had to sell me on it too, right? Because not that many people grow under LEDs in California, right? We're a legacy market. Most people are 1,000 watt HPSs, and all the people that are growing under LEDs are growing under the low 600 watt, products. And Brent sold me on it with the breeding, basically, right? Like the comment he made about the wolf, right? You gotta think future. You gotta think future, right? Some people may think you don't need the 1,000 watt. You don't need it now because the plants can't take it now. But 2 years from now, when Brent's, 3 years ahead of everybody else breeding under high intensity LEDs, that's where the benefit comes.
Yeah, and we've actually done a bunch. Just to go off that point, the breeding part starts from cloned. If you literally have, I mean, you could, if you're down from what your mom's at. If your moms are at 1,000 ppfd or 800, what are you going to transplant at? From clone, we were actually already telling people to hit your plants at like 600, 700, 800 ppfd before they even go into the flower room or before we even switch to flower.
The plants can handle it. It's like, and if you supplement well enough, if you're providing enough water and nutrients and providing enough CO2 for the plants to grow, they accept it just fine. And with an annual crop like what we grow, it's like with a set time length of harvest, it's like the faster you can get them to grow, guess what? That's just added yield. Yep. That's all that means. It's nuts how people don't look at that, in my opinion. People don't look to that kind of like, how do you push the plant? I spent an entire career going into the wild and collecting wild species to bring back into inbred varieties and breeding and genetics. I did it for private companies. I did it with ornamental plants and things like that. And we completely innovated and changed plants. And people don't see cannabis the same way, and I don't understand why. Because this plant right now is inbred. Diverse, yes, extremely diverse.
Yeah.
But inbred extremely as well. Because people are using cakes and cookies and all this shit, and they use it over and over and over again. They think they can cross a cake with a cake with a cake and a cake and get a better cake. And sadly, that's just called inbreeding. Sometimes you get good stuff, but it's not very rare, or not very common, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What empowered your mission to kind of going back into the wild to kind of get some different things and bring it back? What led you to that discovery to be innovative that way? Because that's really, those decisions are the things that really make or break a brand for the future, is that moment of innovation.
That's a hard question. For me, it was my mentor. I had a mentor, his name was Ushio Sakazaki. I worked at the University of California in Riverside, and I was breeding things like turf grass and ornamental plants like Salvia greggii, basic things and stuff. And I was being taught by other classical geneticists to use wild species. Hey, go to the wild and you can find a lot of things by just selecting a species that's in the wild and hybridizing it. It's called interspecific hybridization. Okay. And I left the university and I started working for another big company that was a breeding company. I won't speak up towards them right now at this moment in time. But my mentor, the person who hired me for that, literally we would go into the wild, and he developed his whole career off of going to the wild and finding wild ornamental plants and hybridizing them with inbred varieties that you see at Home Depot and stuff like that. You can go to Home Depot. It's like you can find the plants that I bred too, believe it or not. Any Home Depot, Lowe's, any garden center. But what it does is it
Not Claybourne plants.
Yeah, not Claybourne plants. I wish.
Gotta
Maybe
be
one
very
day.
clear
That
with
strawberry
that.
cheesecake.
But
Where can I get that?
the reality is,
Right on the shelf.
is that it completely changes the plant. It completely changes it. It's like it takes a plant that you're so used to and turns the vigor up by tenfold. Every increase in vigor makes it a better plant, makes it more yielding, gives it different qualities. And say you're looking for something else. Say you're looking for a terpene that smells like, dirty socks or something. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like going into the wild and finding a wild species that has it and just introgressing that into a population that you use. You can breed anything you want. It's a lot of fun. And it's like strawberry. It's like what got me into weed. It's like not only just enjoying using the product, but it's like just the straight fact that other crops like lavender, for instance, it's like 20, 30, 40 species of lavender. The number of essential oils that it produces is very low. It doesn't produce a lot of essential oils. It's like when you go into cannabis, for instance, though, cannabis has 1, 2, 3 species. Everybody's arguing about how many species it has right now, but the reality is it produces over 250 different essential oils. It's like you can breed cannabis to smell like whatever the hell you want it to breed or smell like. You can get it just like these varieties that are down here. This is all my breeding, but it's like, even in these varieties, every single one of these has hundreds of different factors that they're selected for. High THC, good flavor, ease of growth, all that stuff. And it's like all of these things make us want to breed it more, essentially. And the lighting made it easy because now I have an upper edge. It's like I have the ability to push the plant even more.
Yep.
So
why
the
proper tool that the cannabis growers have even needed. I mean, all those old models too, the 660 watts, designed for vertical grows, leafy greens, cabbage. I mean, even the spectrum that all these lights produce is higher blues and whites, which is going to actually push your plants to a more vegetative stage of growth. And that's why you see week 5 and 6, everyone's like, yeah, LEDs are good till 5 or 6. Well, yeah, that's when you need to start stacking. That's when you need to have blue or the whites or the reds and the infrareds and the far reds, and you need to be off the blues. But if you don't do that, it's just going to keep pushing like, oh, yeah, it just went started vegging out again. You're like, well, it's because it's not made for that.
Start cranking up the lights at that point, too.
Yeah, you
it's
crank
like
it up,
really
and you get some more hyper red, far red spectrum in there, and then you get the canopy penetration, you get the plant actually changing colors. That's always my favorite one is when you see someone go from HPS or an LED to the A3I or the FOHSE flower spectrum like you guys have, and you're like, this one's green, this one's completely purpled out. Like,
yep.
You can just tell, right? Like the plant enjoyed this so much more.
It's nuts to me how many people don't know that cannabis is like a fall foliage crop. It changes color.
Right.
It's like you walk into a beautiful room that's actually been grown well. You get oranges and yellows and reds and deep purples. And I always say hues of blue and all those things. It's fucking nuts. And it's beautiful.
You should. Right?
Yeah, I love when we got a couple clients that'll put like maroon, light green, purple, dark green. You go in the room and you're like, see what you did there? And I really like it.
Yeah.
Like it just makes your OCD in your brain just like,
Yeah, I love that.
So I have a quick question for you. As Claybourne develops new genetics, what are things you either look for to isolate or remove when breeding new strains?
We speak a lot about agronomics at Claybourne, and the agronomics are the data. It's a lot of it is how do you make something easier to grow? It's like, because there's certain things that are just hard to do. It's like, I always explain it, like I explain it to Nick all the time, like blueberry and high THC. Blueberry and high THC just don't really go hand in hand. It's like the breeding shows that too. Whenever you breed with it, it's very dominantly low THC. So you have certain things that are very specific to what you're breeding. It's like what you're hybridizing. And then you have things that are just generalized. It's like, I want strong early growth. So I select the seedlings well before they even go into flower. It's like I literally discard probably about 60 to 70% of the seedlings before they're even in flower, because you're looking for things like vigor and disease tolerance and ease of growth and ease of propagation and all these things that make them, for a grower, more profitable. It's like, and also for a grower, less stressful. We were talking about it earlier, there's strawberry cream. The strawberry cream, it's a strawberry cream. It's a strawberries and cream hybrid. Okay. That plant, though, it's like it just doesn't like growing perfectly sometimes. It can be a little problematic.
Like, what is wrong with you? Why don't you get it?
You told me it's all the time. Now I'm telling you guys sometimes.
You're like, which one is it? All the time.
Yeah. It smells good. It smokes good. It tastes good. It's like has all those things, but it's just a little bit harder to grow. And sometimes we accept it because it's something special. And the sales team, for instance, Nick and I talk about that because growers and salespeople are a different story, but it's like the sales team loves it. I may not like it, but I'm going to do whatever the hell the salespeople tell me to do, because they're the ones that drive the company. It's like, and if the consumer likes it in the end, That's the only thing that matters to us.
Generally speaking, we're super aligned though, right? I mean, basically the way that our breeding program works is we identify all the gaps in flavor profiles on the market and try to fill them with our own unique, genetics, blueberries, strawberries, OGs, limonene rich varieties, right? I can go on, but basically Brent's got a list of flavor profiles with priorities, right? And breeding is a very long-term project, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
so it's bad.
We have a hair hash plant by Durban Poison on the table right now. That it's been 2 years in development, basically, right? So it's a way forward-looking, project, but we pick flavor profiles that there's gaps on the market that we can fill or that we can improve upon, like the blueberry, right? Brent's been trying to get a high testing blueberry for a while, like a legit high testing blueberry. Yeah. It sucks that I have to talk about testing so much, but that's just the reality, because if it's not high testing, can't sell it, but in California at least. But that's pretty much where it starts though, a list of flavor profiles, and then here's the priorities, here's what we want to improve upon, and then we provide that to our retail partners, right?
Truthfully,
I really love the part where you said you look for flavor gaps, or like because we were just talking about this too. I was like, the California market, like literally they made so many memes about it, like California grows growing the same genetics with the same equipment with the same nutrients, going, why is no one buying my packs? And I'm like,
100%, man. There's no differentiation, right? Yeah. Because that's one of the things that makes us special is that I like to say we're vertically integrated from breeding to brand, right? So we have the retail relationships that we can have Brent, who's our entire breeding department, and we can drive the future internally without having to rely on outside breeders. But don't get me wrong, we grow genetics from other breeders too, because sometimes a seed junkie will drop something that's it's phenomenal, right? So we want that in the lineup, right?
There's nothing wrong. We have to learn how to work as a team in the industry. Sure. Because the reality is that, it's like some people, there's no reason for us to breed more cakes or more cookies. No. It's like there's people that are destroying that breeding right now. Why would you ever try to compete with that? It's like literally work with them. There's nothing wrong with saying like, hey guys, we're all in this together. It's like you're selling it. Let's brand it. I'll put it in a Claybourne box. It's like, because if it's worth growing, why would I argue that? Yeah,
we're not breeding cakes, for example, right? We're spending our time on things like the hair hash plant by Durban Poison is a perfect example. The terpene profile has not been innovated in a long time, right? There's J1s, XJ13s, Durban Poisons, Jacks that have the high terpinolene. All those strains, they're old as hell, right? We need some new stuff. So Brent's trying to make those strains have more bag appeal, right? Have higher THC, so on and so forth, and still have a super strong terpinolene rich nose. And we're not going to be able to get that by waiting for the breeders in the California market to do that. They're not interested in that. They're trying to breed the next gelato, the next cake, the next most purple, high testing, whatever, right? And then everybody gets their hands on it, right?
And so another truth of the matter too is that they're breeding it in very particular facilities. Like we went back to go back to the very beginning. It's like growing under LEDs is not the same. Selecting a plant that grows well under high intensity LEDs is totally different. Yeah. Almost immediately when we do these selections under the high intensity LEDs, you start seeing calcium and magnesium deficiencies in the flower. It's like you see it in the spotting on the leaves and stuff like that. It's pretty fucking nuts, because plants just can't handle it. And a lot of nurseries, if you buy cuts from nurseries and stuff like that, like we trial everything. It's like there's no point in not. We're a leading brand. I want to make sure that we're growing the best things for our consumers. When you trial a lot of the stuff that other breeders have bred in greenhouses, for say, doesn't fly under high intensity LED. They can't grow fast enough.
Yep.
So this is a double-sided question here. So the first one I have is, of course, do you have any new upcoming genetics, which we have a couple that you've mentioned. But how do you all make the choice on which genetics or which one is first that you release or you start testing, as you said earlier?
I mean, we're huge on consumer feedback. So every product that's on a shelf that's got a Claybourne Eagle on it has a QR code on it. So we get consumer feedback every day. So, day in and day out, we're getting, dozens of pieces of feedback from our consumers, and they're rating things like flavor profiles and how the high was and other things that have nothing to do sometimes with the flower itself, right? And
gonna test it out and see in real time. Just see.
Yeah, telling us the consumer feed, or just telling us the experience they had, right?
Right.
And that a lot of times is what drives our product innovation, whether it be breeding or whether it be a new SKU like a pre-roll variety pack, for example, right? So to answer your question, how do we choose? We let the people choose. So first, we have our list of what we're breeding. When I say Brent's trying to breed a blueberry that's high testing, that's not just like one strain. He's got hundreds and hundreds of blueberry hybrids, right? That are all different phenotypes. And those he does his agronomic stuff and dwindles those down to a dozen or a couple dozen. And those couple dozen get, very basic tests in-house from Claybourne, right? Does it have the right bag appeal? Does it got the right nose? Did it test good enough? All that stuff. And that gets dwindled down, and that's what goes into R&D boxes for our sales team, for our retail partners. And once it passes that test, then it goes into a small batch, what we call trial by fire gold cut, where we drop our, a very small batch of product. Even sometimes it's like a quarter pound, right? A quarter pound of a certain strain, a certain genetic in a box called trial by fire in our gold cut boxes. And that's where we get that final piece of feedback from the consumer before we turn this thing on full bore. Yeah. And that's really how we make the final determination on genetics, which is really no different than how we make the final determination on our new products, right?
Because even this industry, we always have a conversation, and we have a lot of conversations constantly. We're a team, it's like talking about this stuff. But the reality is that this industry has a bad tendency to be like, I know what you want. I know what you want. I know what he wants. It's like, I know what she wants. It's like, instead of being like, hey, what do you guys want? And that's the bad part of this industry. Yeah. It's like, has anybody asked if everybody wants, a gelato or something? Like, nothing against gelato. Gelatos are great. Obviously, we all smoke them. But it's like, the reality is, though, is that you have to ask the consumer, what does the consumer want? Because we love strawberry cream. It's like, smells like freaking strawberries. It's
well, you guys can do that because, you're on the front of innovation. Most people that are on the front of innovation who haven't done their homework to really, really advance an industry. That's another thing we have in common is obviously we deal with our customers and we ask for feedback, but when they tell us to improve something, or how about we try this, that's actually a luxury that we have, because now we're not just improving their scenario, but we're actually bringing value because we're actually answering the need. People that don't ask, it's almost like, we don't want to ask because we can't do it. You kind of like open the room for failure that way. And then just looking at this, for those of you who are tuning in, definitely go to the nearest dispensary if you have one in the area. Grab some Claybourne, scan the back, and when you scan it, it's actually pretty cool. It takes you to let us know how you feel screen. You can it says hit the gas, scan the QR code, tell us how you really feel, and drive the future of Claybourne. So it's really, really cool that they allow you guys to give feedback and really perfect what they do. That's a part of transparency. So for the trolls that really want to troll us, here's an opportunity. Scan this here, visit their website, and really give them your feedback, because they're great guys and they would appreciate it. So
yeah, it's not always good feedback, which is good. That's how we push ourselves. We don't want fake feedback. And you know how it is. People like to give super honest feedback.
We literally built all the features and functionalities in our light, from like the spectrum tuning to the temperature sensors that shut the light down when it gets too warm, to like the wireless communication. It's all just some grower going, it'd be really cool if you could do this. And we're like, give me a month. Be right back. But it's built for growers by growers, and the same thing is, what do you guys want? It's the easiest question is what do you want? What's your goal? And then let's just work this thing backwards.
And how can we deliver it? Innovation, customer feedback, branding, all of it fits together.
Well, another thing, just to go into the point too of what you guys are doing that makes it so innovating, is especially in California and the bigger, more built out markets, is because we're talking about the same like 3 cuts, right? Or that everyone's growing, but it's like there's how many thousands of growers to actual, geneticists who know what they're doing, or guys who can get cuts of these genetics that aren't going to be completely, drifted off into nowhere space where this cookies looks like this, or it's what I'm saying. There's only a few guys that actually know how to do that part and then put it into a working growing system. Exactly. So it's
not easy, man. Yeah, and it takes a lot of money too. We have dedicated.
You're throwing away 60% of some stuff sometimes.
Yeah. So and about 10% of our crops right now. About 10% of our crops are dedicated to R&D. Basically, like that's 10% of our facility that could be dedicated to growing the Judge. Right. Guarantee I could sell more of the Judge if I had more of the Judge, which is one of our top selling strains. Right. But we need to we need to be innovating instead. Right. So that we can try to stay ahead of the competition. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but Yeah.
Now, what time, I mean, knowing you guys started in 2017, when did you really jump in and realize like, oh shit, we have something good? Like, we're on to something. When did that click for you all?
We made our first sale of the Claybourne branded product in October of 2018.
Okay.
I remember
So
it like it was yesterday.
Okay.
Somebody placed an $8,000 order. I called Brent and Jonathan, my two partners. I was like, you're not going to believe it, man. Somebody just bought $8,000 worth of Claybourne and thought we were going to be rich. Anyways, so 2019 though, we started coming out with a ton of new products.
Right.
And that's really when, you know, the pedal hit the metal and we started taking off. 2019 is, you know, it came with the product innovation, right? It takes a long time to get a whole bunch of new genetics on the market, especially when they're your own genetics.
Exactly.
I mean, shit, some of our new genetics didn't even start hitting until like 2021, you know what I mean? From, you know, what the breeding we had done after rec market, right? And now it's a flow of new genetics coming out, but it took a long time. So before that, you got to innovate in other ways.
Right.
So our power pack, for example, an eighth of flour and a gram of keef all in one rolling pouch. That was an idea from one of our retail partners. That's, you know, hey, I need some value indoor flour. It was 2019, 2020. Prices hadn't come down like they are in 2022 yet. And, you know, they needed some more value indoor flower. And then that jumped off to like our premium small bud segment. You mentioned earlier, we're big on trying to, obviously every grower is trying to utilize the most of the largest amount of the crop as possible, right? So, you know, there's less mature, smaller buds on the plant that don't really look good in a normal eighth jar that you're trying to get, you know, $50 to $75 for. So we started taking those and putting them into half ounces and 1 ounce jars. And just again, from feedback from our retail partners, hey, I need a, you know, rec market. We don't have enough ounces on the market, right? All right, well, where do you need to be on price point? Whatever. We launched it, you know, took off, right? Now a lot of people do the small bud stuff, but
that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right in the pack, little
Nice.
yeah, I mean, that's like an old school, that's the old school weed deal right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have that much money,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to get, you know, high. I'm trying to stretch my dollar.
Right.
Well, right here you get an eighth of flour and basically a gram of keef for free, basically, right? Yeah. And it's a value price point. And
Would you say the price point of something like that is?
That's gonna be like $35-$40.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I was like 50 if I was expecting at least 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vegas,
It's a great-
pay attention.
Yeah.
Right.
So you know how it is. I mean, the reality is the man's taking a whole lot more than that, but yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I had a
That's
huge conversation
pre-tax.
with that. Yeah, 30% just to be in cannabis, and then you got the actual corporation tax. You got your income tax. Like literally, it's by the time you get like your dollar, it's basically dwindled down to a couple pennies.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the
hard.
QR, we get that feedback on our QR codes, you know, almost every day, where it's like, hey, I thought, you know, said it was $50, but I ended up paying $80. It's like, you got to explain, like that extra $30 didn't come to us. Write your congressman.
Right. Well, I also want to point out something here because, I mean, when we talked about earlier with customer feedback, this is how you directly impact the market, is asking the market what they want and giving it to them. Most people can't impact it right because they don't know. You're trying to guess and you're trying to tell people what they want instead of just asking, and they'll tell you. It's just like the plants. If you take care of it, it'll tell you what it needs more of, what it needs less of. So it really does speak about the innovation. That's really, really good. Really, really good.
And it's just getting more and more competitive in California, right? So if you want to stay on top, you got to be innovating. You can't just rely on just, you know, dropping new strains and stuff like that. You got to go beyond that, you know.
That's a quick follow-up, right? Just want to get into this one. Let me see here. Got a good one here. So we've talked about genetics. We've talked about new releases. Actually, we haven't. What are 2 new releases that you can speak of? Actually, I skipped over that second part.
You want to do? You want me to?
Because I know I have a favorite. It may not be new, but
He's gonna plug. Hold on.
but I have a couple favorites already. So
Oh, you got a couple favorites already?
Yeah.
I would say our Wintergreen Supreme by Great Pie. One of the flavor profiles we were trying to get, the great flavor profile that's higher testing, like a Purple Punch and stuff like that, right? Brent came out with our Wintergreen Supreme by Great Pie, which is phenomenal. We call it, We call it Grape White. Just named that last week.
Nice.
Naming strains is pretty fun. So marketing team came up with Grape White. It's frosty as hell, smells like grapes. It is a very high tester, has great bag appeal. So we did, again, a trial by fire drop a couple weeks ago. Got great feedback on it, and it's going to hit shelves in full production here at the end of the year. So, and then I could go on and on because we got so many new products coming out.
But we can highlight a couple. Let's talk about a couple. So we have the Grape White. What's another one?
You want to talk to your favorite strain before I get into other stuff?
No, you're good. It's like I would jump on. We made a lemon granita hybrid this last year with hair hash plant, and it ended up turning into one of the fan favorites out of this last selection group.
Was it surprising?
It was surprising to me because I wasn't thinking that a lemon sativa was going to be such a hot topic. And what ended up happening is that it ended up having a really good bag appeal and really good euphoric smoke. It was like that perfect fucking heady, fast racing sativa. And then we started growing it in the masses and it started testing really high. So it started testing right around about like 35, 36, 37 for a lemon sativa. And we still have yet to even name the damn thing, but it's one of my favorites right now. Between that and Cobra Kush, this was a Kush that was selected in-house. And that's that lemon.
That's a lemon granita by Harris plant, yeah. And that's a perfect example, right? People aren't innovating sativas. So when you come out with a new sativa that looks different, smokes different, people are wowed by it. You know
And
what
cool
I mean?
names are selling points too. I mean, people focus on the design and the brand of the packaging, but cool names also knock the strains out of the park, especially if they're self-explanatory. Like you said, Grape White, it's frosty as hell, tastes like grape. That helps people conceptualize what they're getting ready to consume.
Yeah, we learned that the hard way, to be completely honest, because we named some strains
That's what I'm
totally off the wall, had nothing to do with the experience you're going to have, but we were like, that sounds really cool.
Right.
People didn't buy it.
No,
you know
because
what I mean?
if it's too, you have to think like people that are first time smokers, they're already scared of getting too high. They're already scared of eating like edibles that's going to send them to the moon for weeks. So it's like when you come across a weird name or something that's too off the side, you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to chill.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to chill.
I would say, like strawberry cream, right?
Yeah.
It is perfect description for what that smells like and tastes like.
And you think of the flavor as soon as you say strawberry cream.
Exactly.
That's one of the things like.
Yeah, a lot of your strains like smell like they were named.
Yeah.
That matters though. Yeah.
So I mean, that's like a new thing for us though, as well. I guess what I'm getting at.
What does that smell like?
Doesn't smell like Cobra,
Doesn't smell like Cobra.
but it smells like Kush.
Right, that's true. We'll take the Kush, but Cobras.
Yeah, no.
We gotta pass on that one. Doesn't smell like Cobras.
I haven't smelled too many Cobras, but I know they don't smell like this.
Oh, that's a new fun one with bag appeal. So it's a real good one. The
But like I think-
longer it sits, longer it sits, the more sour it gets too, which is kind of nice. The more it cures, it's like really starts getting what I call a dirty sock smell. It's like
I just tell them it's a little earthy, but that was more of the smell, I guess, like the worn smell. Yeah.
Naming the strains though is fun though.
Do you guys
Gotta
put them
get
in
it
a
right,
hat?
though.
Do you go around the table? Do you just
Our
smoke and
marketing
name them?
team
or-
comes up with them nine
Nice.
times,
Okay.
like 9.9 times out of 10. These guys
Okay.
come up with it.
Nice.
They're fucking just really good at that.
Yeah, Jonathan,
They're really good at
our
that.
business partner, it's like the things that come out, everything you know from Claybourne, all the design and stuff like that comes from our business partner, the graphic designer.
It's
Our marketing
genius.
team is 3D, Jonathan, Joey, and Vincent, and they hit it out of the park.
Yeah, this is
So,
genius. All the packaging is very self-explanatory and really drives home. The power pack. I wanted to show you guys this packaging earlier, but if you open it, those are familiar with backwoods. It's very much reminiscent of a backwood pack. Vacuum sealed with the
Yeah, you can
zippable-
reuse it later.
Yeah, reusable.
Use it
You
as
can
a
pack
rolling
your stuff
tray.
in it. Absolutely. Or pack your roll blunts in it. It's legit like
Exactly.
a backwoood pack. This is great.
That's pretty much what it is, a blunt rolling kit, And that's mostly what, like in our Curate Claybourne feedback, which is that QR code, that's mostly what people are doing with that
What's
product.
this little
is
tool
rolling
in here
blunts.
in the inside of this?
That's to get the keef out of the jar.
Nice.
Little shovel,
Can't
keef
beat
shovel.
this for 35, you said 30? 35?
$35-$40, yeah,
Can't beat that.
plus taxes. But I mean, last plug is going to be our pre-roll innovation. Like our pre-roll products. You got to go with the market. And in California, the flower market is shrinking, and the pre-roll and vape market are fucking taking off, especially the pre-roll market. So there's guys that were super early adopters, like Jeters, for example, that just dominate and crush. Those guys do an amazing job. And now we're coming out with a lot of new pre-roll products. The latest one is our variety packs. So we have our face melter pack, bake sale pack, and fast lane pack that just have, each one of those has 3 different strains in them, right? So we curate a strain assortment and we dropped them 2 weeks ago, and they sold out super quick at the retailers. It's just a fun experience, right? And we have other pre-roll products launching in September and October that will be very innovative and novel to the California market. So
Q4 belongs to Claybourne is what we're hearing.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
All right, so let's get into this piece. I know we skipped over this earlier, but neither one of your names are Claybourne. We've just discussed marketing. You guys killing it. Where did the name come from? How did we get to Claybourne Co?
It's pretty simple. So at the time we were starting the brand, I was having my first kid, and my wife and I had a couple names, and one of them was Claybourne. That's my best friend's middle name, which is also Brent's brother-in-law. And I just like the name. It's a cool name. And I was going to name my firstborn Claybourne, and then my wife didn't like it. And it was the same time we were starting this company, didn't have a name yet, so I was like, all right, then I'll use this.
I'm going to use that
we'll
name
use this
somewhere.
name somewhere.
Using it somewhere.
Put this on
The next baby.
on the weed brand.
It's like, what happened
Put
to
this on the
Claybourne?
weed
It's my
brand,
business
yeah.
now.
So that's where the name came from.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I wanted to focus on earlier we talked about obviously transitioning to this. We just talked about marketing and packaging. Then we're talking the name. Obviously we know there's a large focus on athletes utilizing cannabis. You guys are directly tied to dirt bike riding and rodeo. How have you seen this develop in real time for some of the athletes, as well as, even just staff and in the workplace? Like, what's your perspective on things being normalized a bit?
Yeah, that just kind of evolved naturally, to be completely honest. Like, we're a friends and family business, and a lot of the athletes that we sponsor and are what we call our athlete ambassadors, which they're not even all athletes, they're just good people that we know for the most part, right? And that's kind of how that team got built, is just, hey, you do cool stuff, you have weed integrated into your life, whether it be with what you're doing for your career, or what you're doing for your recreational sport you do, or if your recreational sport is actually your career, like Colby Raha. And basically it was just a natural fit, right? Like, our brand is very I hate to use the word authentic, because then it seems like it's not authentic, but it's just us, basically.
We are.
It's just us. And our athlete ambassadors, they're just us, and it's people that were already smoking Claybourne and everything, right? For the purpose of, for the athletes, it really is just alleviating pain, just
calming the nerves,
right? All the reasons that people use cannabis medicinally or just recreationally, right?
And
like,
even trying to normalize it, we talk a lot about, in this industry, it's like talking about normalizing use. It's like, because cannabis use isn't dangerous. It's like, I don't care what people are trying to tell you, it just really is not a dangerous product at all. And it's like selling cannabis to people who already smoke. They already know what they're looking for. They're looking for quality. They're looking for flavor. They're looking for THC in California. It's like all these different things. But the reality is how do you normalize it? How do you sell it to somebody who doesn't use the product on a regular basis? And that's where our transparency kind of came from. And the sports are the same thing. It's like, we're transparent about our products because we want to normalize it. We want to make it where everybody feels comfortable using it. Mm-hmm. Having the terpenes on the box makes it so you can explain the flavor to somebody who has no fucking clue what they're buying.
Right.
Yep.
The sports guys, it's like all of our ambassadors, it's like they're pushing it out there for us. Like, hey, it's like, I smoke and mow the lawn. It's like, you don't have to smoke and go to a party or something like that. It's like some of us just use, and that's just the reality. And some of those guys are using it just to get through their fucking day. It's like Eli, man. It's like he's getting beat up by bulls the whole time. It's like he's using to calm his nerves and to salvage pain.
Medicine's so good, people take it for the side effects.
Right. So good. But it makes me think too. I go back to innovation because you guys been on the front line of innovation. Athletes and them directly benefit because you're doing the work to find new stuff, offering new benefits to them. So when they do consume, it's like, oh shit, what is this? Yeah. This is the strawberry cream. That innovation matters for that reason too.
And every strain, cultivar, whatever you want to call it, they're all different. They all affect everybody differently. And at some point, I think there's different types of consumers in California, especially where people want to try a crazy amount of variety at certain price points. And then some people just want, like, okay, I finally found my go-to. I'm just sticking with that strain forever, basically, And either way, we kind of fit that mold, right? Because we offer a lot of we rotate strains a lot, right? But then we also have the go-tos, and one of those go-tos for a lot of people is we always keep CBD varieties on our menu. So we have CBD flower that's 1-to-1, 2-to-1 kind of ratios that has good bag appeal, grown indoors, all that good stuff. We make the ancillary products out of it too, like the pre-rolls and stuff like that. And there's a market for that. It's not a huge market,
right, but,
still, most retailers in Southern California, at least, their choice CBD flower is the Claybourne CBD flower, you know, and it just adds another little mix to it. And those are the kind of products that end up being go-tos for people, you know, where they either take that flower and mix it with other higher potency flower to kind of calm it down, or they just straight up smoke that flower in a pre-roll, and it just works for them. You know what I mean?
I like what you guys did with the giving the 3 different strains, because I'm like, my favorite thing is a salad. Like, I love getting
forgot that earlier, but I was thinking that
each like different strain in a giant jar. And like the first like couple days, you're working through the first one, and like you get halfway through, and you're like, oh, fucking surprise! And like you get down to the bottom one, another surprise. And you know, again, for those guys that they find that, you know, kush they like or that strain they like, and they just stick to it, a way to get those guys exploring new stuff is with stuff like that. Like, hey, I know I got my go-to in there, but let's try these other ones, and then maybe, you know, that's how they find their new favorite.
That's exactly right, man. That's why we do it, so that people can try
expanding the brand immensely.
Exactly, try a variety, right, and so that they can figure out what it is they really want without buying a whole eighth, for example, right? We did for 4th of July, we did our Star Spangled Bangers pack, which was
I wish we had.
We remember that we saw the pack on
Claybourne marketing team.
Shout out to you guys. We were like, what is this? This is cool.
They became famous with the Star Spangled Bangers pack. But it was 5 different grams of gold cuts.
Yeah.
And,
hell yeah.
I mean, that turned a lot of people onto gold cuts. Or, you know, we did a promotion on it. We sold 5 grams for the price of an eighth, basically. So it was a great deal. Wow. But that got them. Man, I really like that Judge or that Eagle Mac is like really fire. And then they go and buy the eighth, right? And it's proven like in our, you know, in the feedback we get, you know what I mean? Like, I love these variety packs. The Judge is my new favorite strain, and they probably wouldn't have tried it if they didn't get to buy that value.
Yeah, it brings me to the point where if I go and like, cause I have a couple go-tos, like if I'm going to get GLP and if they don't have it, or like the one strain I like, instead of getting something else from the company you like or something like that, you just go to an eighth or something, you know, another company. So you guys you're driving more people to stay in the Claybourne brand, but still get to explore a huge variety, which is probably why people don't leave Claybourne, because they can have, I mean, look at everything.
But it's cool to see
10 different strains here.
Yeah.
All of them fire. I'm like, you can spend a week working through that.
And different ways to consume them too.
That was the reason why we went to putting terpenes on the boxes, though, too. It's like, because the strains are they're moving around in California. They're changing all the time, and people don't know what you're getting. It's like you buy something one week and it's this, you buy something the next week, you can't ever find it again. And the terpenes allowed people, so it's like, hey, I like this. It's like you can at least find something that has a similar terpene profile on it.
That was Brent's idea right when we launched the company, right when we launched the brand. At the last minute, told me and Jonathan, hey, we got to put the cannabinoid and terpene profile on these boxes. We're like, fuck, man, we just went to production on these things. And we literally have like no money right now, and you're trying to have us change the design of the packaging. But and on the testing, we're like, are you sure about this, man? He's like, just do it. So we did it. And, you know, it's one of the things that made us differentiate in the very beginning, you know. Now a lot of people put the cannabinoids and terpenes, but, you know, we do it batch by batch. It's batch specific. A lot of the companies started doing it, but they said, oh, well, this strain just always has terpinolene in it. So I'm just going to say that it's always got terpinolene. We say this batch has 0.15% terpinolene or whatever, right? So, you know, the number of consumers, it's really for the retail, for the bud tenders and everything. They love it because they can be more educated about what they're selling. And certain states like Nevada, Nevada, you got to have the terpenes on the product. California, you don't have to. So for 4 years, we've been paying extra money to get the terpene test, but it's worth it. And we have all the data now of like which terpene profiles sell well, which ones don't sell well.
Well, and the snobs too that come in and go, well, what's the terp profile?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Now you're like, it's on the fucking box.
Yeah. Those are few and far between, to be completely honest.
I mean, Nevada, we got spoiled. So like, got used to, if I went anywhere, I'm like, what are the terps? And
like,
like, what are you asking me? I'm like, COA doesn't come on the box. They're like, no, it's just here's the THC. I'm like,
there you go. This is 25%.
I'm like, oh, I was like,
right. Just a guess number.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought about is we're gonna have to get some type of faux salad idea with you guys, with Ben's theory, like getting a little salad kit where you kind of grind them up, mix them on top, stir them, and then just pour it in.
That was one of the coolest things with the Star Spangled Bangers
Yeah,
pack, because when you launch like unique products like that, people start posting whatever they're doing with them. And this one guy basically shot a video of himself opening all 5, grind them all up, and then mixing them into this all 1 5-gram salad of 5 different strains.
Nice.
And
He had a good 4th of July. Let's
He
say
did
that.
have a great 4th of July. I don't even know what he made out of it.
5
But
grams in 30 minutes.
I thought that was pretty cool, you know? Yeah, exactly.
Talk about a firework.
Yeah, it's always fun trying like one strain, but like I always put like a chunk it out, like make a joint, put a little over there, do the next one, put a little over there, and by the end you're like, all right, we're gonna just.
Yeah. I think it's cool.
I love it.
So we talked about how you came in to know FOHSE, how we came to know you. The one thing that I want to keep discussing and reflecting on is the similarities of our brand. You know, obviously we focused on innovation, which is how we continue to advance the cannabis industry by finding ways to perfect our products, right?
Yeah.
How has the experience been with you partnering with us? Obviously you have the data, you see the results, but like, what has been the feedback you've gotten amongst the industry when they're like, hey, you guys with FOHSE, or FOHSE is with Claybourne, what's up? How's that been?
I think a lot of it you end up finding people who just are similar cultivators.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, because a lot of people don't cultivate under LEDs, period. When I retrofitted over to FOHSE, it's like when I swapped over our whole facility, I started taking photos of all the lights and all the rooms and all the flower and stuff like that. That's when we got probably the most kind of like, hey, what do you think about these lights? That's how the grower network works, right?
You really made that change.
Yeah,
what do you
like,
think?
Oh, everybody's afraid.
Yeah.
Nobody does we did the research.
Right.
You know, most growers, they don't do what we do. They're going talking to their best friend who uses the lights and say, hey, how do you do this? Hey, how'd they work for you? But when you do that, and when you start showing people how well you're doing, and then the next thing you know, it's like other cultivators are like, hey, those lights are working well for you, huh? It's like, where'd you get them? How are you doing with it? It's like, how many pounds are you getting per light? It's like all that kind of stuff. And that's when everything kind of shines through. FOHSE, working with FOHSE is
Right,
easy.
it's literally shines through, right.
It's like working with you guys is a cakewalk. Customer service is there. It's like to plug on you guys just really quick, but it is. I didn't have to ask any questions. It's like working with Ron and working with you guys. It was just, hey guys, you know what's going on? And it was next thing you know, I got lights showing up at the door. It makes it easy, you know? Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, we tried, like Brent said, like 8 different manufacturers, various models from each of those manufacturers. So I wouldn't doubt that we tried 20 different light technologies before we made the switch over to LED. And every time FOHSE basically outperformed the competition. So.
Ben, how important is it for you? Right.
No.
Please, let's put a pause on that. FOHSE
right.
does outperform. But how does that translate for us? I mean, obviously, I just joined in January, but I know for you guys that have been building for a while, companies like Claybourne are essential because they listen, you know what they're up to, so you know that the partnership is really going to be beneficial results-wise, where we're not ashamed, like, oh, we just made this big announcement. The shit is terrible. How important is that for folks on your end, you know?
Yeah, so obviously, absolutely, anytime we have a big cultivator or any commercial guy, when they start talking about making the big retrofit or a ground up build, I mean, very few and far between will just outfit immediately, no questions asked, no testing. We encourage testing. That's what it definitely makes us
have to
separate from a lot of the other people. But like you said, not a lot of these guys want to do the research. Not a lot of the guys want to actually go put up a substantial investment to even do a test, let alone 20 different tests. And because it's expensive. I mean, you're going from a light that was $500 that you're very comfortable with to something that's 3-4 times that cost, and you have never used it before. And you're in your head, it's easy just to scoff at it and just put it away. Like
while you're still growing, while still running the business, selling product.
It's scary.
super risky, man.
But it's super risky because we've always done it this way is the most dangerous thing you can say in business, especially when you see people innovating. Like, we don't use Nokia phones anymore. We don't use projector big screens, right?
Yep.
I mean, we don't even use the iPhone technology. Is completely different from when it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So I mean, it's scary because you're trying to make that huge, enormous leap. It's the most expensive thing you're going to buy in your grow. Is lights.
But to speak to it for something easy for these guys to understand, though, it's like instantaneously we offset a year's worth of electrical cost increases in Southern California.
Get the camera on him when he says that. Let's get the camera on him when he says that.
Like we offset. There was 4 or 5 different electrical increases, and instantaneously you offset that cost. It's like when you're a fucking grower, it's like, give me a break here. That's a lot of money you're paying every month
Every
for
penny
electrical.
counts. Yeah.
It's like the secrets.
It's working with exactly. It's explaining to them the ROI, right? And it's not just you're going to grow more. Let's break down exactly what that means. If we can do 20-30% increase over what you're currently doing now, what are you paying price per pound? Let's look at the electrical usage. Let's break down how many harvests you need to pay this off. Because honestly, if it doesn't pay itself off within a year, 50% of people won't buy. 3 years, you might have the accountants and like the big dogs interested, but like if you're not paying yourself off, the technology doesn't work.
Yep.
No matter how great it is, like, and how cool it is. If it doesn't pay itself off, you're not going to sell anything, right?
Yep.
But the fact that you can look someone in the face and say you're at X market, we've had guys pay them off in 1 harvest, we've had guys pay them off in 3 harvests. But I mean, even in the worst market, I think you're under a couple of years. I mean, and it's, how competitive do you want to be in a market that's striving for, not quantity anymore? You have to grow, always looking for increased yields, absolutely. But if you can't maintain or increase quality while reducing the cost per pound, there's not too many pieces of equipment or nutrient regimens or genetics or blends where you can go, if you change out this one piece, make small tweaks that you won't notice on your like increasing feeds and stuff, you're not going to be like, that was so expensive. But you can swap out one piece of equipment and see increased yields to 30%, right to your bottom line, 30% boost. That's millions of dollars for most commercial cultivators, millions.
I'm not gonna lie, working with you guys is easy too. It's like working with Mike, and it's like working, if you even, because there is a learning curve, and that's truthful, 100% truthful. Anybody out there is a learning curve for LEDs, 100%. It's like, and you guys have everybody here available to even help you with that. There was a learning curve for us at Claybourne, and that's just being truthful. It took some time to kind of really calibrate, really get everything where we wanted to, because you're flip-flopping the rooms when you're using LEDs. It's like you're going from a heat source of your lights to controlling the heat yourself.
To the plants transpirating more. We call it the moving jigsaw puzzle, basically. Switching from HPS to LED, but now going from LED in week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, every week's different now. You're like, well, we need less HVAC, more dehumidification. All right, so the plants are not taking up 2.4 EC, they're at like 3.8 or 4 whatever, depending on how much light you're banging them with. And it's like, how do you know how to do that? And that's why we actually started our horticultural team, was based on, we were big proponents of increased light levels. This plant can take it. We know it's the way of the future, but there's only a handful of guys that have used it with us. So we started just, obviously doing our own research, bringing on plant physiologists, horticultural specialists. If you want us to be out there on site once a week, dude, we will have a guy there. Like, we will do weekly update calls, as you know. Like, we try to go above and beyond report cards, because our client success is our success. We don't get to like stand on the shoulders of giants and call it flying. Right?
Exactly.
If people weren't doing what you guys were doing, we wouldn't be able to talk about the science behind it, which is super cool.
To speak to it again, it was hard for me even, because we grow in soil. It's like, we love our beneficial bacteria, mycorrhizae, and raising the EC when you're growing in soil, we're zero runoff facility. It was one of those things where even I was like pumping the brakes. It's like, I don't want to go too high here. It's like, there can be too much. And after talking to your team, they were like, hey, no, you push them. It's like, and even me, I'm a plant biologist. It's like, went to school for it. I'm asking questions because truthfully, it's this plant. It's easier to ask for help. It's like, I used to ask for help even with my prior jobs. It's like, they have people here that are literally willing to help you. And it made a big difference for me. I love those guys. Those guys are great. So
we appreciate that. And obviously we get just as excited about your guys' plants as you do. And I think, again, that's what makes our team so special. It's like when you see, I'll go in and watch my hort guys on site, and I'm like, where are they? Like, I have to go hunt them down, and they're like literally fixing problem. Like, what are you doing? Come over here, please. They get way into it, but that's what you want to see, right? When they get on site, they are as passionate about the plants as the cultivator working in the room. And the clients can see that, and that's what makes it so special. We've got guys out, in Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, over the world, helping people out, because again, it's how you educate and how you teach people to use the technology. I always kind of say it's like handing a 16-year-old a Ferrari, saying get around that track, and then like, what, they crashed? Like, no, let's give them a pit crew, let's give them a pro racer, let's take them around the track a couple times, and then say, here, rock out. You know, way easier process, right? Like, there's some things you just got to do when you're handing people a new innovative piece of technology. And just a little explanation, and most growers, like you said, they'll understand the concept of more light, more feeding, less heat, more water transpiration, dehumidification. It's a very easy puzzle to work out, but it's just like you said, if you've done it for so long, it gets scary just to like go to the temperature from 78 to 82. I'm like, we can keep going. Let's go.
Yeah, we're pushing up to 84, 85, 86 now.
Yeah.
So
When we first retrofitted, I walked in the rooms. I was like, guys, something's wrong.
Like, fix it now.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I was like, yeah.
he says that every time he goes in the room.
Like,
so
Something's wrong.
I'm not a grower,
What's going on
but
now?
this doesn't seem right.
It's like every day
warm
you
in
walk
here.
in, like,
Yeah.
what is it now? Last day was this. It was this.
but the plants handle it. It's like when you think about the plant, I'm used to growing in 100-degree greenhouses too. It's like the plant can handle it.
And
You
it's
know?
listening to the plant, it'll respond accordingly. You just give it what it's, didn't like that. Okay, got it. We'll go back and see what we can undo.
Yeah, someone,
Yep.
someone gave me a good explanation. He's like, they're just tiny organic robots. They go off VPD, transpiration rates, like everything else. He's like, if you inputs and outputs, this much light, this much nutrient, this much transpiration, this much dehumidification, temperature. He's like, if you get all the buttons right, they'll do exactly what they're supposed to do every time. He's like, the only one that can fuck it up is the grower.
Yep.
It's like is the human beings in the grow.
High stress job for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Nick's like, hey, no, it is. I'm
Actually, it's very true.
Wow, I'm not doing
harder.
it. He's doing it.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. I always explain it even like something as simple as tomatoes. You can buy a tomato plant, you can plant it. You can buy a Home Depot, plant it in your yard. You're gonna get some tomatoes. We're not doing that. It's like we're taking that same tomato plant and turning it into like 100 tomatoes, and pushing it to 200 tomatoes and 300 tomatoes. It's like cultivation really is stressful.
Yeah, and then those tomatoes better produce oil.
Right, because I need something else. I need to use those for something else after they're good.
Yeah, that was another explanation we always tried to make was like, you're not buying equipment to grow a crop that just sells at this
Market
dollar.
value, yeah.
You're going to get this many tomatoes, this many heads of corn. Like, doesn't matter what it is, right? Like, you're growing something that's so specific that if you're 25 or 29%, you're talking about a huge sway in your cost per pound.
Oh yeah.
Like,
It's true.
The oil production, everything. It's a very unique crop.
100%.
If you don't grow it right, you're not going to get paid right.
Yeah.
Like tomatoes, you can grow crappy tomatoes, good tomatoes. You put in a box, and you're probably going to sell them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be as hard as selling. I mean, there's even top shelf cannabis brands like $500 a pound in some states, and you're like,
Yeah.
what?
I mean, yeah.
What's
I mean,
behind that?
it's stressful. I mean, you're 16 plus weeks into trying a new genetic in production for the first time, right? Like the grape white, right? When that's in the farm right now, and it's going to be available at the end of the year. But it's like if something goes wrong. You said COA though. You wait, that COA comes out. That's the most nerve-wracking thing.
New COA day?
Yeah. Fuck.
Are we celebrating or am I
The email comes
That's
in,
like grade
the email
card day.
comes in
That's
from the
grade
lab,
card day
you're
as a
like-
kid. When your parents get home, you're like, let me see that grade card.
Yeah,
Let's
you're
see.
like, yeah.
We're focusing so much to get nerdy on this, but we're focusing so much on secondary metabolites, something that a plant is producing as an offspurt of so many different types of physiology that's going on in the plant. It's like, and it's hard. Any other grower in this industry or any other plant grower will tell you how hard it would be to control something that, truthfully, stressors increase them, what you're feeding, the nutrients, the amino acids, whether you're feeding sulfur or not at a not high enough rate, all these little things, it's like that help you create these compounds, these secondary metabolites. It's super fucking hard to control. And we're trying to do it to a T so we can get it on a COA perfectly,
Right.
And we take those and we blast them wherever. We shine with those success stories. It really pushes our product. It makes the potential clients confident, because we don't just have a one-trick pony where it's one brand that we keep focusing on. We have plenty, small, large, celebrity, Jim Belushi. Our client list varies and the clientele varies, but the one thing that's consistent is the success, in these stories.
quality.
So the quality. And
Quality
we come
of
here,
flower.
all of our guests come and we're actually able to smoke, and actually try the products that they've grown with our fixtures, and it's all been nothing but pleasant. We've never had an unsatisfactory experience. May not have been your favorite, but as far as just being bad, no, we don't really have that.
Also, quick question. I was just thinking, are you guys doing plant sap analysis at all? Plant sap analysis?
No. Well, it's like we do nutrient analysis in
Yep.
the petiole, so it's like we do some, but it's nutrient analysis to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
it's
like
just basically
looking at it
telling
that
what you-
way.
yeah, same thing.
It's like I've talked to you guys about the Lycor stuff though, and that's the stuff that
That's an
really
interesting
interests
one.
me.
Yeah, it's
So-
like I was literally, as soon as you started saying like your background, I was like, oh, he would nerd out so hard on the Lycor 6800.
Getting a Lycor clamp on some of these
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
it
you
tells
clamp
you
it on-
exactly how fast your plants are growing, what they're doing, how they're absorbing CO2. Sorry.
Yeah,
It's
transfer like the stomata opening and closing on the back end, how much like you intensity of light it can take, nutrients. I mean, everything. Like live shot, shooting carbon through the fan leaf, and it like literally just you see this huge data sheet come out and it pumps out this huge book of data, and you're like, it's a super impressive machine. We brought it to a couple of clients' facilities, and then Lycor was like, yeah, we can't keep flying our guys to I'm like, we're doing research. So we got a couple good runs out of them, but the next one is to actually like purchase the 6800 and then go do like the 2-month training on it, how to use it. But that would be a fun one to go do, is bring that to your facility. Just the amount of genetics you guys have. I mean, we could be there for a month.
Could do it. And even if you guys, it's like, we used to use those clamps at the university, University of California.
Yep.
It's like, we've tried collaborating with the university, the UC systems and stuff, but it's still risky business to them.
Yeah, because they probably take federal money, so they can't.
That hard money is what it's like. The soft money is easy.
Yeah.
So, but we had Nick talked to him. We have friends over there. It's like we all kind of communicate on a regular basis. Like, hey, what's going on at the industry?
Hell
It's
yeah.
like, well, hopefully someday we can do research together.
Yeah, I'm excited to see some more stuff come out. I mean, and you're starting to see it too. It's actually more specifically built for cannabis, which is, why we made FOHSE and started FOHSE, is because we were like looking at all the equipment we're using for lights, and I was like, this is outrageous. We were actually, I'm not sure if you've ever heard our story. We were actually, we had a grow in Las Vegas we were invested in, and literally getting our asses kicked on HPSs, like frying rooms, HVACs shutting down, like every nightmare under the sun because of the 120-degree sun. And a buddy of mine from high school, laser robotic engineer, missile guidance systems for the government, micro LED patents on like heart defibrillators and pacemakers, showed me this like CAD drawing. He sent me this huge file, and I'm like, do you have this light? It was like what was going to be the A3i, and he's like, no, we got to make it. So like we literally built it out of a motor shop garage that Brett and I had. We built high-end race motorcycles, and we literally built a couple prototypes, put them in the grow, and saw plants growing sideways, getting fucking big. Like we had to like rip them out of the trellis nets because the plants from this table were growing like this into the row with the LEDs, and we're like, well, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
They respond.
So we literally divested out of everything and went full blown, heads down, 3 years R&D. And I mean, it's like if you actually make something that's specific for the job you're trying to do, it's like coming up with a hammer while everyone was still using rocks.
Right.
When did you guys
to build a house?
when did you guys launch your first light into production?
Was that 2015, 16?
Holy crap, man.
Yeah, we went in for like
Early
7 years.
adopters right there.
Yeah.
Risky business.
1,200 watt lights and like 3,000 something ppf out of the light, and everyone's like, that's way too much. Fast forward 7 years, everyone's got 1,000 watt LEDs, and
Like, welcome to the party, guys.
yeah, right.
That's crazy.
Welcome.
Yeah, pretty funny.
I also want to talk about the future. I mean, as we bring this to a close, the last segment that I really like focusing on, obviously the name of the show is called Welcome to the Future. Everyone's really ahead of the industry and really pushing it forward. You're actually challenging other people in your same industry to be like, damn, those Claybourne people will not sleep, because it's keeping everyone on their toes, but that's what's needed, and I mean, we're feeling the same thing. Efficiency and sustainability has become a focal point within the cannabis industry, right? The use of LED lighting reduces energy consumption. How does Claybourne continue to move forward in an environmentally friendly way? And then how can FOHSE continue to assist that mission?
Brent's the perfect one to answer that. He's all
Brent,
about the
what'd you say?
environmentally friendly ways.
We already do so much just in the facility itself. It's like we grow hydroponically, but we're zero runoff. We don't reduce any water into the sewer systems or septics or anything like that. So it's like using LEDs was just a must. I'm not going to lie. The lighting quality is better. It's more intense. As LEDs changed over the years, I remember Philips Blurple LEDs. It's like that was kind of the thing when I was in school even. It's like, and they just didn't work. And it's like they worked, let me rephrase that. They worked well for their low profile when they were doing lettuce and things like that. Switching over to LEDs is just an easy decision. Less energy use. You literally get to use less on HVAC, less on the lighting energy. It's like you get to control everything and manipulate everything exactly the way you want. It becomes scientific. It becomes more like a lab. And then mixing that, for us, mixing it with no runoff and growing things in soil, using soil to literally utilize all the nutrients that you can, made it more kind of ecologically friendly. And it creates the highest quality product, some of the highest quality product in the state of California. It's always funny to me having those conversations with growers that grow in rock wool, and there's nothing wrong with rock wool, but it's like when you're dumping gallons upon gallons upon gallons of fertilizer-rich water down the drain, eventually that's not going to be a good thing. It's like, one, you're wasting water, and two, it's like those nutrients are going somewhere. You have to figure out how to help. It's like how to grow things efficiently, because sooner or later the state's going to come after us. It's
So you're
like
helping two people. You're helping obviously your customers and your clientele, but you're also helping the environment. I mean, which are direct responses of each other, right? The plant is still, it's still a plant, which usually outdoors, still a part of the earth. So being able to still show the care and the expertise that you really want to make a difference, even in how you care for the plants inside, automatically reflects the environment, the environmental concern, I should say. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like the HPS facilities that like they started doing like how many houses could you run on a cannabis grow, and it was like 80,000 homes.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god,
that's why my
there's a
bill's
better
so
way to do
high.
this.
Yeah.
I could be delivering light to people in another country right now who don't have it with what I have going on.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, the outdoor growers up north and things like that, in large part from an energy consumption perspective, of course, they've got the most ecologically friendly, you know, opportunities there. But in Southern California, you just don't really have that opportunity, you know. And for us to have a business, we kind of got to grow indoors in Southern California. So we want to find the most environmentally friendly way to do that. And that's the LED, that's the zero runoff, growing in soil, all that kind of stuff, right? And that's just the decision we made. And again, like Brent said, there's a lot of extremely high quality flower in California, but ours right up there with everybody else's, and we can do it in a different, slightly different way, you know, than most.
Ben, what about you? How instrumental are companies like Claybourne and, you know, the ones that we're associated with who actually take what we say, they give us their expertise, and we really create some great stuff? Like, how instrumental is that for us?
Yeah, obviously it's huge. Anytime you can have collaboration on, you know, whether it be an environmental push, making cannabis green, which, I mean, everyone in our industry is like so pro taking care of the environment and like, let's go hemp, but then we're like, let's fucking get phase 3 power in this bitch and fire up a transformer. You're like,
Yeah.
like it's insane. Like, would it drop in more power? You're like, okay,
Great.
like, I mean, but again, it's the nature of the beast. So it's like having people that, again, slowed down in the process and not just said drop in more power, you know, drain to waste, like all this crazy shit. You're like, hey, let's find ways not to do drain to waste. Let's find ways to reduce our carbon footprint, you know, and it starts with a couple easy things, which is your water, your lights. We've got some guys that are using like turbines and stuff like that. Awesome. Wind and solar just aren't there. Like, obviously, as you know, like you'd have to have a solar field the size of Nevada to like run a grow.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't make sense yet. Not that big, but you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of power to that. It just wouldn't make sense. But I mean, you're seeing guys get there. Like, again, another guy was taking all the transpiration that would hit his walls. He was finding ways to recover that water. Yep. So air recovery, water recovery systems are becoming more, you know, prevalent in the industry, which is fun to see.
Well, how does that affect you guys with California and water limitations and all of that? How does that affect your?
We recover all of our runoff.
Okay.
So it's like all of our runoff goes into a holding tank, and that holding tank runs through a filter, and it's reused through the facility. So even our
huge.
condensate
That's what I mean.
from
Meaning our
air
condensate and
conditioners.
perspiration.
Yeah.
So you say you guys are doing that, yeah. So that's exactly.
Yeah, just
we have a
what I'm
couple clients that are doing that.
Yeah.
What Claybourne's doing.
Yeah.
And anytime you can literally take, I mean, because that's water, not just that you're feeding the plants. Technically, it's the same water, but it's the water that the plants going, okay, transpirating, putting on the walls and in the air, the humidity. They're taking the humidity from the air that they don't need to control their environment, and then they're using that to refeed their
And
plants.
it's clean water source.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like stuff like that is how you're going to actually make a big change. Because if everyone starts doing that stuff, that's when you see, you know, the big change in the carbon footprint that, you know.
I think the reality is,
cannabis.
Yeah, since we don't drain to waste, though, I think that's like the major
That's the
impact.
biggest one.
Yeah.
That's the major impact that we have on.
All right, gents, it's been a pleasure. Obviously, we've had a nice hour sitting in with you guys. Hopefully, at some point, we can open the audience up because we get a lot of positive feedback from those who want to come and listen and learn a little more. At this time, I want to reveal the name. Obviously, Claybourne is at the front of their industry as FOHSE. This episode is called Leading the Way with Claybourne because you guys continue to do the work to keep leading the way and setting the standard for those, you know, your peers and your colleagues.
Love it. Thank you.
Competitors. So hopefully, you'll be back again. Ben, it's always good to have you.
Yeah,
Nick
likewise.
and Brent, look forward to the future, many more. But in the meantime, let's get into some of this.
Appreciate that.
Let's try some of this strawberry cream that I've been smelling like 30 seconds.